Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you once again for finding time to be here this morning. So, we are discussing a follow-on topic to some of the questions that some participants asked last week, and it's good that we stretch being to answer some of these questions. So, we've covered various areas of who we are being. And practically, we are in the last quarter of the year. We'll be doing some revisions as we go on, but there are still a lot of areas we've not covered. Now, so somebody was getting a new managerial job asked the question about a follower who is, in her own words, I don't know what he's looking for. Maybe he's looking for recognition. And we gave a number of different different commentators tried to make inputs to that question. And later on the chat group, somebody was asking about what to do if you are being compelled to, let me put it raw. If the person who has the power to promote you is asking for something you are unable to grant, and in this case, likely sex, and so what do you do? And I did respond in the group that the inordinate need to get a job title can be our own undoing, and that maybe we needed to look into the topic of leading from any chair, just leading from any chair. In the last 3 weeks, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I have had to sit on a Zoom meeting for an oil and gas project in Warri, Delta State. I was co-opted into the Zoom meeting by the project initiators and directors just to make some input. Now, halfway into the meeting, one of the directors said, "We've not given you a title." Now, it was a bit strange to me, not because a title is insignificant. I wasn't looking for a title. Now, the ego has a way. I was looking for which value am I bringing to this meeting? I wanted to identify what I could. I don't have an oil and gas background. What value can I contribute to an oil and gas project? The first Zoom meeting I attended, a lot of terminologies on oil, loading, barging, transportation, whatever, all that goes on in the oil and gas industry. Now, I think it was from the second meeting that I was able to make input on how the entire process of the value chain can be made more efficient. Now, finally, I was given a project advisory title, but the title is not what is important. So, like we always say, who are you being? In who are you being? You have to. The best way for you to deal with that question, like we found out most times here, is answering it before a meeting, before the opportunity, before the promotion. Now, there are some of the meetings I've had to attend till 12 midnight. Sometimes they are waiting for me to join the meeting before everybody is on, and I didn't know that there was an emergency meeting. Now, it's not based on the title. It's based on the value you are bringing in. It's always based on the value that you are bringing in. So today we're going to look at, who are you being? No, are you being the executive where followers are allowed to shine, or is that the definitive ending of it? Are you being that executive? Now, what space are you granting? Now, it also applies to the space you grant to the people above you. I know much of today will look like we'll be focusing on those below us, but essentially, what is the job of leadership? Is leadership to make us shine, and his leadership to make our egos very loud. As a facilitator, my best classes are the ones that I never spoke. I learned that from one of my MBA lecturers, John Gary. I mean, you remember some specific lecturers because of their unique ability to transmit knowledge. I don't remember all the lecturers who lectured me when I was doing MBA, but I remember John Gary because he's a professor of human resource management. He sets the class up for the people to take leadership of the subject, not for him to shine. I've been doing facilitation for nearly 20 years now, there or more. But I just re-enrolled for a program uh, in sorry, not re-enrolled. There's a textbook I'm just acquiring from Harvard Business School on facilitation, just facilitation. And what is it about? Helping the people who come to class shine, not helping me, the facilitator, to shine. So this is just by way of introduction. So we'll be looking at this article, and just to close out on one question I didn't ask last week, and the question is for Harriet. So when we're talking about models of reality, Harriet said something like the son's girlfriend calling her Harriet and how the response she gave. Now, towards the end of the class and after the class, I said, I was just having a funny feeling. I said, okay, if it was Harriet's daughter's boyfriend, how would Harriet feel? Now, it's only Harriet that can answer that question. And I'm glad she's in class this morning. So, Harriet, sorry I'm taking on you. Maybe I should have briefed you before the class. So, if it was your daughter's boyfriend, will you feel the same way if it's your son's girlfriend?
Good morning, sir. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
class.
Good morning.
Sir, yes, so I will feel the same way because they are all young people. I don't actually fancy young people just call me straight by my name like that. If I'm in the office, it's a different thing. Oh, I'm in the office.
Okay, you are in
You
the
know, that's the
office.
culture in the office.
Mm.
So, like Dr. Victoria now, her daughter is in my office, you know, a fresh graduate. I told her before she resumed. In fact, she has worked there before, even while she was in uni. And then when she finished again, they needed some people, and I had to introduce her again. I told her, I said, remember that in the office, his first name we call ourselves. So don't call me auntie in the office. Call me Harriet. I said, but immediately the job finishes, we step outside, we meet outside the door. Don't call me Harriet. Oh. And she said, okay, auntie. And that's how we have been doing it. So this one,
Okay.
in my own family, whether girl is bringing man or man bringing girl, you can't just come and just call me Harriet and I'm happy. It's good I speak my mind. I'll tell them.
It's good. No, it's
No,
good. It was just running in my mind that
yeah.
sometimes as mothers and parents, it looks like the son we put more prize. If two people are to marry, if you are the mother of the boy, there is more prize. But so when I say flip it around, let me hear what Harriet will say.
Mm. So for me, it's the same thing. We need to address such things from the beginning so that they know where we stand. So that's me. I don't know. Some people may have different
No, it's okay. Yeah,
opinion.
so if they are having different this thing doesn't mean you can't air
Yeah,
your
yeah,
voice.
yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
All
Coach, I
right,
think,
thank you very much.
Coach, I think it goes for boys too, because we know my niece, she married to a Yoruba boy, and
Mm.
when they call from America, we say Digwe first of all. Tell you to Digwe, and he has to Digwe before we even say anything. You know, that is the culture.
Okay, it's all right. So the question is answered properly. All right, so are you being the executive here your followers can shine? So who can help us with what they got from the case or story, article, whatever?
Yeah. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Yeah. Okay. I really want to start from what really occurred during the week. You see.
Mm.
No, this book, I read it last night. I mean, I got a glimpse last night, of the concept of the book, which is one possibilities. You a leader, you can lead from anywhere. Okay, and it reminded me of the book we did when I was doing network marketing in Longbridge, which was Leader Without a Title by Robin Sharma. Which says that you can actually lead from anywhere. That the most important thing is to innovate, and to bring out the best in you, and to be the one who is very creative and who is very positive, who look at the things from the end point, that you don't be intimidated. You can actually lead from anywhere. Leadership is all about contribution towards the general good of the organization. So one of the things that struck me, because I was listening to the audio and I was only in chapter 2 before I slept up, and that is the fact that when you major, that people like to measure things. You come from the point of view of scarcity and measurement, and that actually limits you. That if you start from the end in mind and start to walk back, that you might actually do well. And he gave an example of asking the students that, look, in this class, I'm going to give you A at the end of the section, but you do me something. Write me a memo starting from, say, this is June next year, and you already gotten the A. Tell me the things you did that actually made you get the A, which was working from the end in mind. And that, I think that's how God ends. God works from the end in mind. He already set the goal for, what do you call it? Revelation, the judgment that happened, that will happen thousands of years ago. So, and the thing is really, really very good. It said other thing to which is really good in the book, which is the rule number 6, which is, how do I put it? Laugh at yourself. Don't take yourself seriously. Another thing again I learned from the book is what they call this. I'm trying to get that point down now. Getting it's like the upward and downward. That is upward and downward spiral of the book. Upward and downward spiral. I'm trying to get the analysis of that one very well now. But the most important thing from the book is the fact that you can actually lead from anywhere at all. Don't limit yourself. Okay, that is the point of view of the 9 dots. Talk about the 9 dots. Yeah, and for you to get the 9 dots, if you want to fix all the 9 dots together, you have to think outside the box. Maybe you have to create an extension. And so if you always put yourself in the box, you might not be able to extend and look at that 9 dots. So people should always innovate. Try to think outside the box. Try to contribute more. The more you look at yourself and what others, and you see yourself as the light and that you want to shine, you will not go far. But leaders these days, they are actually looking at people who can contribute more. Yeah. So during the week, because our office now, we are talking about diversity and inclusion, because our staff, they are made of people from different races. We have the Asians there, we have the core British there, we have the Africans there. I don't think we ever have South Americans. But so these days, we now look at inclusion. How do we get everybody to look at things from other perspective? Like me, I had to go to the Buddhist monk. Is it what you call it? The temple, because some of our members are Buddhists, and we have never, as a Christian, I had to, before I went there, and I was thinking myself, how do I eat the Buddhist food? But if I go there and they give me food, I don't eat. And I remember what Paul was saying, that as a Christian, you can actually take anything, but if they tell you that this thing is offered to idol, don't eat it for the conscious sake. But you can actually eat anything, bless any food and eat it. So these are the things I was thinking of before going to the Buddhist temple, because I had to go. If people are working with me and they are inviting me and they say there's inclusion, and I'm going to invite them to my church in Christmas time, I should be able to go there and actually went there and participated in their this thing, ate their food and came back. So the okay, you want to see me? All right, so sorry. Okay, let me go back to. I'm out of this space now. So let me. Okay, good. You see, say that my face is not visible.
Okay, I
Let
thought it
me
was
see.
deliberate. All right.
So we were talking about inclusion and diversity these days. So I had to go there. Then the National Transport Authority, they invited companies that had inclusion and diversity, in the transport industry. And my company was selected. And out of the people that was selected, I was also selected because I did a program where I brought jollof rice, pound, I didn't bring jollof rice, moi moi, akara, dodo to the office, and I invited a lot of people to come in, and from managers down, and they came in and they ate the food, and we had a good discussion, and so I was selected to go there.
Round up because of time.
Okay.
7:26.
Yeah. So when we got there, the companies were called, and at the end of the day, Liverpool organization won. I was saying, oh no, why? What? So what it means is that you should not assume that because you are selected that you're going to win. You should look at things. The assumption that you are the best is not one of the things that they talked about. Don't assume that you are the best. You look at things from other perspective for you to know if you are going to be the best. Don't just assume. Assumption is not really good. Be very detached when you are doing things. Don't look at things from the end point of view. Be creative. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So who else? Okay. Harriet, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Just one part of it that I want to talk about. They
Okay.
said, give an A grade beforehand. Assume the best of others and grant them an A in advance. This fosters empowerment. This fosters empowered, positive relationship and encourages others to contribute to your mission. That is very key. You understand? So what the author is telling us is that don't write off everybody. Don't just believe that you are the you are the all-knowing person. You understand? Everybody will contribute to the success of any mission, any vision that you have. So if you come into an organization and you are writing down people to think, oh, these ones are not good enough. I've had so many experiences, you understand? And I think I know it all. That's not the best way to be a good leader. Value whatever contribution anybody has to your team. Value them. And how do you value them? You make them feel important. You understand? Like you're doing meetings, you don't exclude people. You give them time to talk, bring in their own contribution, their suggestion. Then they will know that, oh, so they can listen to mine. And that will encourage people to even do more, to bring more to the table, because they know that at this meeting, my MD is going to throw it open and allow me to say something. So that is giving people, that A grade. But some managers, they don't do that. They just feel that it is only them that knows everything. And then when somebody wants to talk, they just put them down. You understand? So I like this part of it. Give them an A grade even before they start. Expect them, give them responsibilities and expect them to perform well. But leave a room for them to say, like, if you are struggling, come back to me for questions. That is, you have empowered somebody. That's a good leader for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So who has read the article? I want to share something from what they got in the article. 。 Okay, Omojere, the floor is yours.
Good morning, coach.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
teammate.
Yeah.
Isn't that the short article you posted there that
Are
people
you
should be
being the
giving
executive? Yeah, leading from any chair.
people should be given the space? That is very important because what many people don't know about leadership, I think, is that they don't know that you are the boss. The glory comes back to you, whether you do the work or not. Nobody wants to know. If you don't do it, nobody does. But if you empower everyone around you, the job will be easier. People will appreciate you. Unknown to them, somebody else is doing the job. And that is when most leaders should understand the power of delegation. It is very important. When people around you are empowered, one person I respect, pardon me, I'm not sentimental, is Sam Adeyemi. Sam Adeyemi was not around for about 3-4 years. His church was going. That's the only pastor I have seen with such capacity of leadership. That's what leadership should be. The church was growing, the people were growing, everything was happening. That's one leader I know that, which means he has trained people with capacity on ground. Many leaders are scared to leave the organization because they've not trained anybody. And I listen to him so much because I see that thing, that nature in him, that he has built people. Now, a leader that does not give people space to shine and train people will not grow that much. I mean, when I mean doesn't grow, is that you are taking all the glory. It will not. Once that leader is out of the space, everything will crumble. That's why I see many multinationals, especially in Nigeria, they don't grow because they don't give people that space to shine. Now, a leader should be able to empower everybody working with him. You understand everybody's capacity and ensure that they are functioning well where they're supposed to function. And it doesn't matter who does the work, just okay, you do a correction. Don't need to take the glory. If you are somebody is working with you and the person is productive, encourage the person. At least once in a while, you can say, oh, he did this, he did that. Not that you just take all the glory. So I believe everybody should be given space to shine. If they are giving space to shine, you can be away, buying time to do other things, and your organizations will be growing. Thank you.
Thank you. Jane, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I think I like the part that Harriet highlighted, because sometimes as leaders you just assume that you know it all, but going with that mindset that the people you're going to lead, they know what they're doing already, it makes you approach in a different way. Then another part I like, it's talking about the article highlighted how, if you realize, like the conductor, he's the one conducting the is the orchestra, but he's not actually really playing any notes. So when the thing comes beautifully, it's not that he is playing any notes. It is how to make the people play their best notes that will make the orchestra really beautiful. So he realized that, how do I make these people play their best notes? It's just highlight leadership. It highlights that leadership is not all about you. It's about empowering your followers to be the best. Then you find out that whatever you are leading, whatever the organization itself will be the best. So it's not all about you. And the best way to do that is to make people lead in their own sphere. Because if there is an issue, if say you're leading a department and let's say it's manufacturing, you are at the top. These people are the ones doing the job. They are the ones coupling these things. They're in the better place to be able to see that, okay, this is why this problem is happening. This is why this thing is not fitting. Maybe if we just adjust it. But if you don't give them opportunity where they are able to say out, to say, if we do it this way, it will be better, you will never know as a leader. So I really like this topic because it's just going aspiring, as a person that is aspiring to grow in my leadership journey. Reading this article, it's really made a difference to me, because we need to allow people lead irrespective of where they are. Thank you.
Okay, Jane, before you go, So if you grant somebody a space to lead or to shine, and they fail, what will you do?
I'm going to support them. The thing is that when you are granting people a space to shine, you're trying to, the fact that you are allowing people to be innovative, it doesn't mean that they are going to succeed. Even you as a leader, nothing is guaranteed, nothing is certain. If you feel that walking from point A to B is going to take you 5 minutes, it's when you actually start walking from point A to B. You might find that it might take you 3 minutes, or it might even take you a day. There is nothing that is certain when it comes to leadership. So if that is true for you, and you're allowing the people that you lead to take initiative, you must not assume that they have to succeed. And when they succeed, and when they don't succeed, you begin to say that it's their fault. It's sitting down to learn from their failures, joining them to see what do you think has made this thing failed? What was your original idea? And being able to now pinpoint what has gone wrong and for us to learn from it and make things better. Now, again, it's the based on this your question, it depends on what you define failure to me. What is failure to you? If failure to you is we want to get from point A to B, you didn't get to point B, that is failure to you. Then you're looking at why didn't we get to point B? Failure means different thing for everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Omojebe, the floor is yours.
Yes, Coach, I wanted to draw our attention. Thank you very much again. That conductor explanation was a very great one. I want to draw, the leader is not the smartest, I believe, to me. The leader is not the most intelligent. The leader is just one that can bring everybody together and get organizational goals or decisions settled. So when you are picked as a leader, it's not because you are the smartest. The meaning of that leadership is that you are able to discover the need of the organization that period and settle the need. And you alone cannot settle it. So you need people to work with, you need team to work with, you need to utilize the ability to get that need settled. Why people remember leaders? They remember leaders that are innovative and that were able to use everything, the human, the material, the financial resources to get the decisions of the organization done. So as a leader, the first thing is to understand what is the need and who are those teams, which team can settle this need at this particular time. That's what you are remembered for. So like Jane gave an example. A conductor just ensure everything comes beautiful. People sees him, people clap for him, people appreciate him for doing that. But it was a teamwork. Everybody does. So the leader must not assume that I am the smartest. No, he must not assume that I am the most intelligent. No, he just know that there is a need. Okay, how do we fix this need? You need it. And the second question you ask her is another beautiful explanation she gave also. As people are becoming innovative, don't expect to just get a particular result. Even from that their mistake, you can also use and like a digression, because we are so fixated with this idea of this is how it should be. So when there's a diversion, everybody, but you can be innovative with that also. I was in a lecture presented by my friend. He's a professor in Ife. He went to UK and he was giving a lecture. He told me to join. And it was talking about Buzono Boya, how Buzono Boya invented a particular form of art. He said Buzono Boya was doing a work and the work got condemned. He visited somebody and he saw the person using a glue. I don't know how to explain. He said that was the concept that he brought a particular type of art that is known worldwide today. He said it was just a mistake he did. So the work he threw away, he went to pick the work, and today now, everywhere in the world, they are using that particular form. So you can look at the mistake of one of your teammates. The leader is just the first among the equal. He's a teammate also, who is trying to ensure that everybody bring out their best. Thank you, Coach. Let me not go for that.
Thank you very much. So, Omojebe, so from what you have said, you said the leader is not the smartest. So if he's not the
Yes, sir.
smartest, yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
he's not the smartest. So what was seen in him that brought him to the position? What was seen? What is the specific ability?
No, it depends on what the organization wants. If I pick Gideon, Gideon was somebody that sees himself. He said, I am the least, my family is the least, my tribe is the least. And God said, no, you have a great potential inside of you. Now, I don't believe anybody is born a leader. I never have that belief. My belief is, some are born great is not in me. People make themselves great by building themselves, building their credentials, like we say. They build their credentials. Now, maybe that leader over time has built his credentials to gather people. Any leader that cannot maintain the I would like put it, that cannot maintain that when you gather people, any leader that cannot maintain that the people giving to him is not yet a leader. So the first thing a leader should be is to organize the people, is to build that capacity to organize the people. Yes, a leader may have the best CV, but so you can pick somebody with the best CV, but he may not produce the best results. I read an article by a friend. A friend of mine was doing MBA, and she gave me one of their class articles. I was just reading it for fun, and I love what they said. They were giving two reviews. It was a foreign journal, foreign article. So the one of the company was doing well. So the other man, he hired the best. They hired 10 of staff. One hired the most intelligent, the first class in his organization. The other one hired roadside people. And the one that did roadside, this was an analysis, was doing very well. So the one that came and said, the other leader, the other one came and said, I hired 10 first class graduates. You didn't hire first class graduate. How come? He said, I trained them to be what they should. I trained them to the capacity of what I want them to be. That he gave them the specifics of what he wants, so he trained them. He said those ones, they were coming with their diverse ideas. So they were crises. Everybody knows too much. Nobody wants to submit. He said that's why. He said now tell them what you want them to do, and they will produce results. So if you check most times, most of the leaders like Cosmos Charity, Cosmos Maduka, he didn't go to school like that, but he has built his credential of being able to harness human capacity. That is one thing a leader should be. You should be able to harness human capacity. It is very, very important. A leader should be very sensitive. A leader that is sensitive to know who can put the right thing in the right place. Moses was the leader of Israel, but he was not the one that built the ark. When the time came, God told him who to build the ark. When the time to hand over came, God told him who to hand over to. When the time for
Okay.
work came, it was God that was fighting, but he was a leader. But it was people that were doing all the work that were given to him. So a leader is the one that will build his capacity to harness the intelligence of everybody, talent rather, and skills of everybody. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Harriet. After Harriet, Dr. Austin. Harriet, go on.
Okay, so thank you, sir. I'm following what they said. I just wanted to say one or two things. So for Jane, you asked her that if the person is not performing well, what will they do? Number one, the leader needs to offer training. First of all, you will need to have a one-on-one discussion with that person to find out what is making the person to struggle and why the person is not doing well. And then think of what trainings, you understand, you can offer or you can expose that person to that will make the person do well or do better. Omojere also talked about that training and development when he talked about Maduka too. So that training is very, very important, and making the person, not just writing the person down completely, but trying to see how you can help to improve that person's performance, you know. Then you asked, I think it's Omojere you asked that, what did they see in the leader that made them to pick him as a leader? First of all, people doctor their CVs. You understand? They package it. They call it tweaking here. You just, you arrange it very well that when they see, they say, this person is a leader. He has done this. He has done that in all those places. So the organization, even when they come for interview, they would have, prepared themselves very well and they answer questions and they come. But when they come on ground, it becomes a different ball game. You will not be seeing the real qualities that you were seeing on that paper that they have used to rearrange.
But Harriet, even when they tweak the CV,
yeah,
which means the people reading the CV saw something.
They did.
Maybe there's something they were looking for.
Yes, now.
And so what was it?
Eh?
What was it they tweaked it to? that people reading it now saw it.
That they have delivered a success, achievement. They have delivered. They have turned things around in this organization. They have done this. They have leadership skills. There are different things you put on your CV, organizing, so many things, So they are happy that this person is loaded, that is coming. You understand? But it's paper loading. Paper loading. When the
Okay,
person lands, when the
all
person
right.
lands and is
Go
now
on.
facing the reality of life, you will now find out that this is supposed to be a leader, but he's doing divide and rule. He's not carrying everybody along. He's not communicating well. Somebody is going on leave. Is after he has gone on leave that you will now send a Teams message, I'm on leave today and tomorrow. Who did you do handover to? Is that how to lead? You understand? So paper one is different. And, some people, another thing again that people do, like in the UK here, if you really want to be promoted, you have to be the type that has moved from one organization to another. I had this young manager that came, hey, HOD, I call him HOD, has been here, 1.5 years, 1 year, 2 years. They said this person has a wealth of experience. He has touched base in so many places. He has seen different cultures. Let's bring that person in to come and give us new culture. That's how they brought that person in. It didn't last 1.5 years. He disappeared again with his culture. All the things introduced, people have not even learned how to do all of those since he left. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Austin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning,
Thank
everyone. Interesting conversation. But I think some of the comments that I heard. First of all, sorry, I didn't read that. I just look forward to this meeting. So I'm responding to what I've been listening to. Some of the questions I've heard appears to me that we are confusing leadership with entrepreneurship with management. Three different things. An entrepreneur is not necessarily a leader. Because Maduka is probably an entrepreneur, people that he needs to run his business. Leaders typically achieve results through people. They focus on people, and they influence people to behave in a way that they want them to behave, using persuasive skills to get them to give the results. Like managers who drive systems and want to maintain status quo, using established structures to drive systems, protocols, policies, and all that. The leaders are not necessarily always appointed. That's why you hear about formal and informal leaders, within this system. Because when I saw the topic of this discussion, I thought it was mainly talking about informal leaders, people that are in the business, are very influential. They're the ones that you need to drive change, but yet they don't hold any roles. Typically, leadership does not run across structures, organizational structures. Leadership drives around on social networks. On the organizational structure, of course, typically you want to call the top senior management as leaders because they're supposed to exhibit leadership, attributes. But the structure of the organogram reflects management and authority levels. The leaders are people who usually influence people. They're more interested in people, how people feel about what's happening in the organization and how they are delivering their results. But managers want to use the existing protocols and SOPs and everything to drive their own results. So I was just trying to see how we can align in this discussion, because one of the areas that I'm very interested in myself is the powerful, the neglected power of informal leaders in an organization. There are people who are very influential, but you never know. So you say A is what they say that the people that they influence will do. And they're embedded in every organization. And if you don't know them, you wonder why you're driving the change and you so much resistance. So most of the time, people call them champions. Most of the time, they call it change champions. Most of the time, you want to get things done, you have to get them together. And first of all, use them, convince them to adopt that change. And they will go, once they agree with you, they go in and they drive it. Some of them can occupy roles, can be head of department, can be but there are many of them who don't even occupy these roles, and they are very influential. So I like us not to forget that the concept of what leaders have made, what leaders have born, is an endless conversation. That's you cannot, it's like a chicken and egg kind of situation. The reality that yes, some people are born with leadership traits. There are traits that are aligned with leadership, and most people say that leaders usually have extroverted kind of they're extroverts, and most introverts don't lead well because they're by themselves and they don't peddle any kind of influence, But I also agree very well that leaders can be trained, and some people have the traits, but they don't know how to use it to peddle kind of influence. So you need to identify people that have the traits and then you train them. If you take an introvert who is somebody very introverted, you want to train people to be a leader, you probably will spend a lot of energy, a lot of time, and you may not get the result that you want. So you need to look at people's personalities and plug them into places where you want to appoint them to roles. I know that degrees can be deceptive and all kinds of CV and everything. And I think that's the levels of interviews. So sometimes when you're interviewing for roles, you have to look at the quality of your interviewing process and how you're able to identify that the person, for you to show that the capacity expressed in the CV is actual. So when you do some scenario interviews, you'll be able to find out whether the person is saying it or not. And that's also the reason why people do probation. During the probation period, you want to find out whether the person actually is who he say he is, and you can take a decision at that point. And the same is why people also do reference checks to find out about the person. So sometimes, like I said, Isharo, sometimes I say, many of the challenges we have when we have hired people are failures from the interview process. And if we can up our recruitment process and more strategic around it, we may face less of some of these challenges that we get at the end of the day. So coming back to leadership, I think leaders are born, but have to be made. People are born with leadership traits, they have to be made to become leaders. Leadership is like it's an endless journey. It's an adaptive behavior. That's an adaptive experience. You keep changing. It's like call it chameleon leadership, where you find yourself, you design strategies based on the personality of those you are leading, and how to lead them. It's a very complex topic, very complex thing. That's reading a book is not enough to make you a leader, and society, another environment. So it's complex, very complex. And it's something that we should look very closely. And I just find it very interesting because the MBA that I did was very anchored on leadership. And I found an interesting topic that at some point in time, we keep asking ourselves, are we leading right or are we leading wrong? And leaders rely a lot on feedback, both verbal feedback and even feedback from people's behavioral cues. And you want to find out whether are you having the same results you want to get. It's all about the results. All about the final outcome. The leader wants to get the result through people. The manager wants to get the result through the system that have been established, that's help you achieve the results. But both ways, the manager runs on authority, the leader runs on influence and persuasion, and at the end of the day, you want to get the results. The question is that what is the right mix of leadership and management in an organization and an individual? I don't believe anybody is purely managerial or purely a leader. It's a mix of both. But I also believe that management, having management knowledge and skill and experience is the foundation for leadership. Without a place to stand, you stand on management to be a leader. Without having managerial experience, you really cannot lead. So you build upon that to be a leader. And and when you start that leadership journey, it's an endless journey. It has no end. It's like an infinite kind of journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Austin. Dr. Austin, just the concept of informal power that you talked about. Now, I'm just trying to see. So if you identify people who have this informal power, and maybe they are not occupying the place of leadership now, they have it. What do you usually elevate them to places of leadership?
No, because the typical for people who talk about in some books that I read and some that I heard about leadership is a leader thrives on social networks. So if you occupy a position, that's a managerial position.
Mm.
And if you don't have the leadership, capability, you always want to get your results through using authority, power, push. But the leader is usually persuasive. It's using emotional intelligence a lot. That's why emotional intelligence is one of the strong, training, one of the strong attributes of a leader. You use emotional intelligence to get results. It's not by power, by giddy, by query and by sack. A leader is looking at people's behavior and how to turn them around. You see somebody who does not do well under one manager will excel under another manager. It's because one is a better leader than the other. Because the leader leadership runs on behavioral, you know, change, driving using behaviors, changing behaviors to get results. But we all have positions. Like today, I'm CEO of Video Hospitals. So my CEO role, I would see myself more like a leader than like a manager, even though I lead the operational management of the entire group. But I'm also a leader. So while I'm looking at the structures and systems that I put in place to get me the results that I want to get, because those structures and systems are made for those who probably don't are not leaders. They are supposed to just follow routines to get their results. So at the front line, I usually will say that once you're a good zombie, once you're a good zombie, you give me my results usually if you follow the templates. You don't have to think. I give you the policy, I give you the SOP, I give you everything. You don't think. It's the leaders that think. Managers don't have to think. Just follow the structure. So if they come for an audit, you come to audit the managerial system. You are auditing whether the people are following the laid out structure or not. So it's based on the SOP, the structure. But as a leader, you train leaders to know when to take alternative decisions. When the structure is based on certain expectations, sometimes the situation can change and you have to take a different decision. So that's why leaders are more strategic, why managers are more operational. So the strategic leader will know when to take alternative decisions to get the same result, a better result even that was initially prescribed, and be able to defend it before auditors. So the informal leaders usually don't have a title. So there was a time I got in an AI program called organizational network analysis, where I needed to identify informal leaders within my organization. And that AI to help me to identify those within the system who were very influential.
Mm.
And then I use those guys as champions to drive the change I wanted to drive. And you get results. One of my friends who used it, he had a lot of staff who were a few guys who appeared to be very influential and were causing a lot of problems in his factories. So he applied this AI tool. Only to discover through the AI so that these guys don't really have influence, as he thought they had. So he fired them and nothing happened. Because if he had fired them, people would down tools. He fired them and nothing happened because they were just making a loud noise. They were not really people were already following them. They were on their own. But their noise was very loud. But through the AI driven ONA tool, he found out these guys didn't have influence among the people. And he fired them and nothing happened. So if you're able to separate the noise from the reality, you can
Yeah.
identify those who really have influence among the people, and use them to drive change because they are the ones people listen to actually. Because sometimes people don't trust their top management or leadership, particularly when they are driving change. They wonder what they are up against. But when they hear from these people that they believe, they trust, they follow that change more easily than just hearing from you. So you need to use those. Other people that you bring in earlier, convince them as early adopters, and they go into the field and convince other people, to accept what they're trying to do. So every organization must understand and know people who are influential. You will see them holding siloed meetings here and there. You will see them having the strongest voice that is discussing football or something. It comes in many ways, either because they know the football or they know the job. In fact, people in my organization that some of the IT boys who were always very available to help my team members when they have technical challenges with their computers and the software. We're very influential people because they seem to be always available to help them. The few guys who are very knowledgeable about policies and all, we're very influential people. So that is why we're quite influential. People follow you for a reason, not just they want to follow you. They follow you for a good reason and they're influential. And so what they say, and that's the reason why sometimes when some politicians want to start their policies. They go to the churches because they find that some church leaders are actually very influential, and people listen to them, and they have a strong followership. They have like kind of a religious followership that whatever they do, people follow them, and so they use them to influence people. The same reason why somebody like Sheikh Gumi, no government has ever wanted to take him and go and lock him up for whatever he's doing because they know that he's very influential, and that there could be some mayhem to touch him. And so those are some of the things that you must know those who have those influences, and use them to drive change. One word from them can create a lot of rethink about what you're trying to do in the business. So the informal leadership thing, you have to look at it because there are those kinds of leadership influence. You have lateral leadership, where you can have influence over people that you don't have direct authority over. That's like a diagonal kind of influence. You have leading up, where as a junior, you are able to even lead your top line manager. Your manager will listen to you and follow you. Meanwhile, he has the managerial authority. So that is leading up. You get it? So there are kinds of leadership, structures that exist that sometimes, unless you look very well, you don't notice it where the influence is coming from. So if you really want to drive change, because most changes are initiated by leaders, and for you to initiate and sustain change, you must understand the kind of behaviors and people, that in your business and where the resistance will come from, and people who are able to influence, that change in your favor. So you must also look at that all the time. So you don't look up. That's why sometimes people want to drive change because they don't have the leadership skill to drive that change in a persuasive way. They use authority and power and stick to say you must follow the line. So what happens whenever you're not around, they don't do it. When you're around, they do it. So maybe you're not around, people behave differently than when you're around, and that's not a good sign because you don't really change the behavior. You're going to go from this behavior that they are used to a new behavior, which you have to accept and get used to, and use to give you the result that you want. Because the best leaders are leaders who, in their absence, things go on, which is people describe as executive presence. You're not around, but people feel like this.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Okay, Oreoluwa.
Feel your presence all the time. That's a executive presence. People are not there.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Austin. All right, the floor is yours.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Coach. Good morning, Dr.
morning.
Austin. So let me first start by saying that I've been listening in, attentively to the discussions, and they've been very insightful. I have a question for Dr. Austin. I think he mentioned that, talking about personality types now, introverts and extroverts. I'm not sure. I want to clarify, because I remember he mentioned extroverts and introverts, especially regarding leadership opportunities. For someone like me who is an introvert, who likes behind the scene moves, I'm not the one to go all out and be so visible, and that also has to do with my personality. And that actually affects my my movement up the career ladder rung, because, in my own part of my field, in my space where I work, you have to be visible. People have to know, you have to talk about amplify your own efforts. But for someone like me, whose nature naturally is, I would prefer behind the scene moves. And even in everyday living, I'm not the type to, blab or, amplify, okay, this is who I am. I have a PhD in this, I have that, and all that. So I have a question for Dr. Austin. I think he mentioned that, talking about introverts and extroverts, did he say that extroverts are more opportune or likely to get leadership roles? Or I just want to ask that question. The second question is, how do I manage, I don't want to use the word manage, how do I become more visible without trampling on my nature or my personality type? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Austin.
Right. Well, thanks a lot. I'm sure the coach yourself will help us with this conversation. Well, being an introvert and extrovert is in nature. But if you listen to me when I use the word extreme introverts, because sometimes that nature fits into some kind of rules very well. In my organization, for example, I prefer to have introverts at the back of the job. They're in the billing, they're in audit, control roles. They do very well in those roles. And also I've created a career path for them in those roles so that they don't feel left out in anything. Now, the issue of being an introvert doesn't also exclude you from being a leader if you want to be a leader. I'm just saying that it's not likely that there will be a very influential role, like in an operational role, where you deal with a lot of people. You have to do a lot of talking, a lot of engagements, in order to get your results. The introverts are not the kind of people who want to speak all the time. So even if you put them in an operational role, you don't get your result. I had one major failure recently where I had a guy who I employed as the head of. In fact, I had that experience 3 times now. And I finally realized that I was missing a lesson. He was the head of internal audits, and then he became the head of internal control and quality. And then I noticed that he couldn't keep a team. The way he managed his team wasn't giving him the results I wanted. He used an iron-fisted way to manage his team, and people were always resigning from his team. Good hands were always leaving him, and at exit they would say they didn't like the way he was managing them. He will block them from even knowing what's going on in the organization. He created a very toxic environment. But I like the guy because it's kind of one of the few guys that if I give a task, he gives me the results that I wanted. So I thought that, let me move this guy to operations. So I made him the head of one of my operations units, the major operations unit, and I said, in that role, he will have to encounter a lot of people who are in a hurry to get things done, and that may influence a change in him and make him a better person. I will try to make him a better leader. I was the only one that took us to one course on strategic leadership. I was even doing his doctorate in business administration. So I felt like he's making efforts to change, but I read a lot of stuff. I didn't even go there. But there I had one of the worst results I could think about. It was not only catastrophic that some things were going wrong, and he wasn't even communicating to me, as much as he is. He wasn't up to, he's not having the skill or the knowledge or having real challenges. But he was trying to solve a problem that was over. Until I came over, I was losing a lot of money in that unit. But on his own, he left. When he left, the feedback that I got from the people was a sigh of relief. And that it felt like it was a very toxic, it created a toxic environment, even in that unit. That is a guy who is very introverted. It's a guy who ordinarily doesn't, you see him smile periodically, not regularly, and he wasn't a good fit for the frontline job, even in that role where he had grown to a very senior level. I would have liked to continue on that path and be the head of internal audit and just grow there and be there, But then I had a problem with leadership skills, which is a different. That's why I said leaders are born, leaders are made. Some people have the traits, you have to grow the traits. Some don't have the traits, at that you have to learn it. And what are those traits? All these, extroverted kind of behaviors, where people that are always restless want to know what's going on everywhere. You have some people that you call them the nose around, want to know what's going on everywhere. You can change that to become something of use, that can now become useful as a leadership tool instead. That's if you look at the five attributes of emotional intelligence. The last one is social networks. You have to start with self-awareness, self-regulation. They must be able to motivate yourself before you can motivate others. Then empathy. Empathy is your wanting to know how other people feel about a thing. Put yourself in other people's shoes. You have to have that attitude of wanting to get to people's spaces. But some people do it in a negative way, but you can convert to a positive thing where they can go into want to go places for good, rather for anything. Like I was telling somebody that I said, you are a leader. Your staff comes to work every day, come by 8:39 every day. And you keep calling the staff, why are you coming late to work? You already have a bias that the person coming to work deliberately. You don't ask. And if you ask, you find out that you are in Deco Road where also is. This guy is coming from Agbar already to work. So if you find that this person comes from Agbar already to work, say, Agbar, okay, now you cannot resume by 9:30 or 9 and close by 6. You can make that accommodation, and then everybody wins. Or the person is having a very serious family problem, where it's really serious that if you'll be more sympathetic. Now if you are very introverted, you will never ask. because you feel it's not your business. You know, instead you will punish the person because you have the managerial authority to punish the person. You know, but if you are an extrovert, you are likely going to ask, "Oh, what is happening to you? Why are you looking me to work?" You know, you express that thing. Maybe not in the right language, you know, but you express it. Now, the question of training to be a leader is helping to express that same thing in a better language, in a way that is more empathetic and more acceptable to the person. And that is what somebody mentioned about diversity and inclusiveness. That's what it's all about. You know, knowing that we are all exposed to diverse situations. We are coming from different kind of backgrounds. We are under different kinds of influences. It's the leader's responsibility to know those things and be able to manage the people based on their peculiar situations, so I can get the same result I want to get from other people. You know, if you can understand people's situations and align with their situations, then you can communicate with them better and get their cooperation better and get their get results from them better. And you see that you have 10 people in your team, and to each of them you relate differently and you get different results. So you get same better results from all of them, but in a different way. You know, so the question of being introverted, you know, once you know yourself, which is the first step of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, you know yourself that you're an introvert. The question is that how does this affect other people? Some of us don't care to ask that question. We just feel like that's how God made me. They take me or they lose me. No, how does it affect other people? You are not in an island. How can I make it such a way that other people can? You can always change yourself. It may be difficult, but you can always change yourself. The only person that can change you is you. You know. So when you know that, you now ask yourself, say, how do I now regulate this kind of behavior in a way that the impact of people, negative impact of people, is less? How do I use it for positive influence? Because everybody produces influence one way or the other, bad or good. You know, how do I use it for positive influence? Where am I best advantage to position myself in order to grow, you know, with this nature that God has given me? Because that nature is given to you for a purpose. And why am I like this? Sometimes you have the right nature, but you find yourself in the wrong place. You struggle. Your some nature are made for certain places. God is the best designer of this world. He designed all differently for different reasons. And we can put that to our best advantage if we can get the right fit. That's where people talk about fit all the time. Square peg in square holes, round pegs in round holes. Are you in the right hole? So when you find yourself in the right position, then you start your growth process where you can now apply this social emotional intelligence. Where you can say, how do I motivate myself and motivate others? Then how do I socialize? What kind of social? You must have some kind of socialization one way or the other. You must live yourself to influence others. If you stay by yourself alone, you influence nobody. The influence about others. Jacques said it. He said, before you become a leader, it was about you. Once you become a leader, it's about others. Leadership is about others, not you anymore. But it is what you have that you can give the leadership. So you have to first of all build yourself to have that leadership capacity or that substance to give leadership from what you say, what you do. Because people don't just look at what you say, look at what you do. In fact, sometimes your doing can be more influential. So even in extroverted nature, you can actually produce a lot of influence without even saying too much, so much. If you know what to do. One of my guys says, mocking, do, mocking, look. Something like that. Say, monkeys watch what you do and they do what you do. Mocking watch, mocking do. So mocking is watching you and mocking do what you are doing. So it's not only about what you say, it's about what you do. So if you want to peddle your influence as an introvert, you know, and as using extroverted nature as a leader, then you do more of, you know, body language influences from doing. And probably whenever you say, your saying becomes very precise and only reinforces what you do. There are people who say a lot and do so little, and people that you respect them. So when you're an extrovert, it's a question of connecting what you say to what you actually do. I help you to say the right things and do the right things so that you can align and people can actually interpret you. When I talk about executive president, that's what it's all about. Your executive president, your authenticity that you bring to work every day. You put to work. People are looking for authentic people everywhere. Authenticity is the bedrock of leadership. You must be sure that what you say is what you do. Because people are actually measuring you all the time. They're looking at you. Sometimes you forget what you have said and you do something different. And you just lose some influence. You know, so being an extrovert, even though I it may be difficult to say, okay, I want to start training you to be a leader. I may not choose you as an instructor to be a leader of operations. Because we have a small company where this is operational, it becomes a difficult space. But when you have a big company where you have operations and you also have the back office activity, most of the introverts do better in the back office activity. So they are more detailed people, they are very patient, they know how to audit and do all those work that will bring out the fine details even when the person in operation has missed it. So, and that's it. We all have our role to play, and you must find yourself in your best fit. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Austin. Thank you so much. So that's a lot. Dr. Austin is CEO Lilly Hospitals, and for several years now, apart from their staff strength already approaching 1,000, Lilly Hospital has been voted the best healthcare provider in Nigeria for a number of years. And I've worked with Dr. Austin. I can attest that you need to put some of his leadership principles to work. So to what the question Oraoluwa asked, now my perspective is this. I think last week and the week before, I was saying something about when you uncover who you are, your personality, what it does. Now, you will always have a personality, but when you understand it, which is part of self-awareness and the emotional intelligence Dr. Austin is referring to, when you are self-aware, its power, its automatic power over you is broken because you are aware now. When you want to begin to express yourself as a leader, so what I will look, oh, I need to begin to express myself as a leader. That's something, there is something I know I want to influence this department, this division about. Now, when you catch yourself, when you are self-aware, here I go again, just sitting here, internalizing everything. No, you drop the hold of that power on you. Self-awareness will make you come out of that personality, speak. And once you begin to practice it, it won't take long. Once your voice is coming out now. So if there's, if Dr. Austin's principle, I like making extroverted people leaders, you are coming out now because you need to be heard. He said something there that I wrote down because it is for the people. Leadership is for the people. It's all about who you are leading, not yourself. So you can't just be all in your mind and expecting that they should know what is in my mind. No, I did that for several years. So now that I'm catching myself, oh, here I go again. So what is it that you want to say? Let people hear it. If you do it gradually in small bits, even if you continue as an introvert, but now the power of the introvertness doesn't hold you again. It's not stopping you because you have known it and you have come out of it. Or not just that you have come out of it, because it may always be there, but you know when not to abide by its leading. So you don't let it run you. In Tracy God's book, Uncovering Your Personality, he says, look, I'm not saying you come out and you jump into another one. I'm saying that be aware in such a way that its hold over you is broken. Jane, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Austin. I just first of all want to address Odunayo is saying that he's not sure what the topic. We are talking about leading from anywhere, irrespective of where you are, whether you have a title or not. That's the nutshell. And Dr. Austin has been highlighting the difference between managerial role and leadership and really drilled into leadership. My contribution is from as an individual. Sometimes when we are looking for jobs, you say you want to do a leadership. Even though a job is being advertised, sometimes you as a person that is aspiring to go into a particular position, you need to look at what that role is looking for. I did share on this platform one time that I went for an interview in London. And when I got to there, I was aspiring to leave my current role. I really wanted to go into leadership where I could do strategic thinking and everything. And I saw this job and I went for it. But as I was in the interview, I soon realized that they are not looking for a leader. They were looking for a manager. And that's not what I wanted. They were looking for people that will manage processes, ensure. And I told myself that right in the interview, I knew that this was not the job for me. I carried on to speak about what I could do as a leader. And walking out of the place, I felt so fulfilled because one, it made me just realize that you need to zoom into the job description and really know what these people are looking for. Now, when it comes to, there was a training I did not too long ago, and somebody was speaking about uh, leadership, and he was saying that the lecturer was saying, you lead either by task or you lead either by relationship. There are two different things. Managers tend to lead by tasks because this work needs to be done and they follow the process. And during that training, I soon realized that I enjoyed really leading more by relationship in a situation whereby I'm able to inspire the people. I am not making them, and it kind of made me define, okay, this is where I want to go. It helped me understand that, no, I'm not looking for a managerial position. I'm looking for a leadership position where I can empower the people under me, where I can be able to coach them, where I could be able to mentor them. So it was really good that he differentiated. A lot of the time we keep saying we want leadership position. You need to ask yourself, are you actually looking for a leadership position, or are you looking for a managerial position, or do you want to be an entrepreneur? If you don't define it, you find yourself being in a position where you don't want to be. You really need to break this and know what you want. And another thing Dr. Austin talked about, talking about your personality, I strongly agree. I am an extrovert. If you meet me as a person, I'm able to talk, I'm able to express myself. And I've realized that even from a child, the influence I've made. As a child, I already knew that I was a leader because anywhere I went to in my class, in the university, when I stood up, the whole class go quiet to say Mama Janice wants to speak. I became self-aware of that. And but that did not automatically make me a leader. I knew that I needed to learn how to, this trait that has been born in me, I need to cultivate it. And that's what I've been doing in the past 5 years. I have been telling myself, okay, you've got this trait naturally. How do you cultivate it and make it work? And I'm still in that journey. And that's one of the reasons why I'm part of this class. But as an introvert, if you so desire to be that, I believe that it's not impossible, because leadership, as well as there are some traits that help you as a leader, is a skill that can be cultivated. And that's when emotional intelligence coming in is realizing, who am I? What are the natural things I've been born with? Or like we say in this class, what are the experiences that have shaped me, the identity that you have created? And this is something you now want. It can be changed. It might take you longer to learn how to speak in public than me, that I've realized that it comes easily to me. It makes it easier for me. But if you know that this is something that does not come to you easily, again, we go back to what we say in this class. You need to keep practicing it. When that thing within you tells you, don't speak, you say, no, I am going to speak. And by the time you keep doing it, it becomes natural to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. Thank you. Harold, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Jane, for the last contribution you made. It made things easier for me because, yeah, and Dr. Austin, thank you too for that your contribution. I like the aspect of emotional intelligence, which will actually, which is a very good factor for leadership. I want to look at this contribution from the perspective of leadership without the title, especially for those who are introverts. Okay, because what the whole thing is talking about, leadership is a being, it's a state of being. Leadership is a state of being, and whether you're introvert or you're extrovert, you can actually be a leader. And if you don't even have the position at all, you can start from yourself. which is saying that leader without a title, and one of the things you do as a leader without a title is, first of all, is self-mastery. If you do your job very well, you know your job very well, that you cannot be ignored. You are on the way of being a leader, and then you also, you can build trust and authenticity in in whatever you do. You build trust. You are very innovative, and then those are the things you do that can actually bring out your leadership trait and qualities. It can actually help you. Then the next thing I think is the mindset itself. The mindset, in this being class, they always say that, like from Xander, is it Xander, who says Chandler, that if you want to be Bruce Lee, you can actually be Bruce Lee. If you want to, that is what, if that is what will make you achieve your aim, your end point, you can be that Bruce Lee. So, and we're talking about declaration. So even if you're an introvert, you can always declare, which is that I'm a leader in this way, or I can be a leader. So declaration will actually move you from where you are out of your comfort zone. Maybe it's your comfort zone that is making you to be introvert. So if you want to get out of your comfort zone to an area where you need to talk more, you can declare, you can actually psych yourself up to be that person you want to be. But what I want to, the things I really gain from this article itself is the fact that you have to create a space within you to be a leader. You have to create space. You have to not look at this from your self perspective, but so from others. You want to make others win. Like Ziegler will say, if you want to be rich, help others to be rich. So if you want to be a leader, you also have to help others to become leaders. You need to bring out the traits in them, look at the qualities, praise people for what they do. With how to win friends and influence people. What is it? Dale Carnegie talked about you looking at things from people's perspective and try to promote them, praise them for what they do, every little effort they do. If you praise them, they also want to also reciprocate by praising you back. So these are the things that really matter. I think everything has to do with the mindset. From what I see here, your mindset. They say two people went to Africa to look at people, and one saw people without shoes and they said no business. The other one saw people without shoes and they say, this is a lot of business here. So if out of this article we change our mindset to say that we can be leaders, we can do more, we can improve, we can be the best we are, and then we now start to create space for others to shine above us, then we are the way towards authentic leadership. And that is what I say I am getting from this particular.
Okay, thank you very much, Harold. Thank you. So let me just go back to the article again and a few questions. Okay. Okay, I know Harriet and Harold, they talked, I think, I guess they read the chapter 6 of The Art of Possibility. So this particular article we are dealing with is chapter 5, I think. So we're talking about giving an aid. Now, one of the things we've seen in being, there are different things that influence the perspective from where you are coming. So which perspective, when you are looking at the people you lead or now trying to marriage, being a manager and leadership in this question now, the people under you basically. Now, first of all, one of the things, like I said at the beginning, I know Mercy just joined. I said Mercy's question last week plus Oge's question. Now, one of Mercy's question, it's like this guy is just looking to be acknowledged. Now, when you are coming from that egoistic this thing, as if you are competing, you are likely to be responding to that ego, the perceived ego. Well, now you don't want to. One of the things we've been able, in all the comments and this thing, you are there to make the people shine. Now, it's going to be a change in a state of mind or state of being. Now, Dr. Austin talked about putting somebody somewhere that did not perform. I remember when I was in ABB, putting an electrical engineer who was head of a department with almost 11 engineers and electrical and non-electrical. But one of the things is that he was operating from a place as if he was trying to make sure that he's recognized. He's trying to make sure that, look, he's trying to be in a competitive this thing. But if I see myself, which is being or state of mind or state of being, now I'm seeing myself that I am an enabler. If I look at all the definitions we have given here, I am an enabler for these people to shine. If I'm being an enabler, my response to their problems will be different. My response even to their failure, when they fail, I want to coach them. Coaching is different from training. I don't know how much of that we covered. I want to coach them. I want to support them to be who they can be, to give them more opportunities to shine. If I'm to harness them, no, I'm not going to be in a place where I want to put them down. No, I'm not in competition with them. I said something in the intro that when you begin to create spaces for your leader, Dustin talks about leading up. And there's people that your boss is following what you are saying. Now, I've worked in an organization like that, where your boss is waiting for you, for others for both himself and those beneath you to follow what you want to say. Now, when you are okay in your own skin, one of the challenges we have as people, and in this part of the world, we have not built that personality that in our own skin, we are okay with it. We are not competing with anybody. No, you are not trying. You see, when you go to offices where somebody is angry that a junior outshined him, no, he has not developed his skin. He should be rejoicing. I remember working on a project in Abia State, and I had a funny foreman. He refused to go on leave because going on leave will mean that somebody else will know how to operate the batching plant. He stayed on that thing. He collected leave abundance allowance from me for 2 years. But guess what? I think about the third or fourth year, he died on the job. The day the wife came around that the man has passed on, I said, so all these efforts, holding on and refusing to empower those beneath you, what came out of it? Once you begin to come from, like we always say in being, you come from the end. Being will decide your behavior. If you come from the end, what is the outcome I want in this place? What role do the people under me play? How do I enable them in this role? So in how do I enable them, I'm beginning to decide my own behaviors. So the end is driving my behaviors. Being always come from the end. So emotional people, they scatter a lot of things because there is no end in view. If they came from the end, they would have behaved differently. So being brings a different kind of behavior because you started from the end and you know where. So you start from the end. Okay, this is what we want to get in this department. Who are the people that will achieve it? Xander said something. He had been a facilitator for 20 years when he found out that the voice of the conductor is never heard. The people that the customers will see, take Lilly Hospital, the 99%, if not 100% of the patients don't see Dr. Austin. The people that the patients will see are the frontliners, are the people under him. Now, he can't but not enable them to shine. They want to shine. They want to be an able representative. They want to be agile representatives of the company. That is one of the things you want to make them be. All right, I don't know of any other question or comment on this subject.
You have to check the chat group and see if there's any question.
Okay. Please, okay, Adonayo, how can you as a leader create space for others to shine? Okay. So who wants to respond to that? How can you as a leader create the space? Are we shy? Okay, Omojowe, the floor is yours.
I think we have said it before. If you are creating space, you empower others. You look at them, look at their capacity, their traits, what they can produce, and you put them where they're supposed to. So it's just putting people where they're supposed to be and training them with the basic knowledge. Because some leaders will hold on, because when you bring ideas to some leaders, they will not even want to agree that you are the one that brings the idea. You might tell them to do this, they will go to management and takes that glory as their own, or they may present it as their idea. There's nothing bad with you saying, oh, Jane brought the idea, it was a brilliant one. There's nothing bad in it. By the time you begin to acknowledge your subordinate, they will want to give you my idea. But when they know that you take the glory, everybody withdraws and looks at you. So when you put those people where they are, you train them also. It is very important to train them. Because if you don't train your subordinate, if you don't train members of your team, you spend more, because every error they make without training will cost the company more. So training is part of it also. And by the time they bring their suggestion, you align with the suggestion. If the suggestion is okay, you can bring it to the table. Everybody looks at it, and they will shine. You get the glory of being the leader of the team. As James said, the conductor that brings the harmony in the music. Thank
you. Thank you very much. Oh, Joseph Otojere, the floor is yours. Hello? Okay. You are not being heard. Okay. Say a word again. Look. Okay, go ahead. It's breaking, but it's trying to come out.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is that the concept of leadership is a topic that is very much debated worldwide, and there is no clearly defined path for leadership. It all depends on the situation and circumstances we find ourselves. But going through the question that the colleague has mentioned, how can you make space for leaders to manage? I think one of the best hallmark of leadership is identify talent. When you identify talent and then you give opportunity, provide opportunity, and give an enabling environment for those persons to influence the group to perform certain tasks and objectives, I think naturally leaders will emerge. And I don't also believe that when giving opportunities for persons to emerge as leaders, we should have in mind that we're going to take the glory. The prize for leadership should come naturally. Meaning that if somebody has taken up a leadership position and is emerging, the glory should go to that person, the praise should go to that person. And naturally, by extension, you that is at the top of the ladder will also receive your glory. So leadership is very key in every establishment, and it's something that we all strive to imbibe. There's a lot of talk about leadership, whether we are born or it's something that can be learned. But I believe it is a mix. We may have a leadership trait, we enhance it, or we can deliberately try to learn leadership principles and try to embed as the more efficient leaders. So it's a very nice discussion. I very much appreciate all the perspectives on the leadership front, especially that from the CEO, which Dr. Austin, which I would say is view from the top, because leading an establishment is a variety, diverse people, and large organization calls for very, very strong leadership. And when such ladies contribute, we all listen to it. Thank you very much, Dr. Austin.
Thank you, Joseph. Dr. Austin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will add again, so that, of course, I usually am very careful about the definitions, and I like definitions a lot because it brings clarity to conversations. All roles are managerial. All roles are managerial, but there are some roles where you need to have leadership skills to perform in those roles. So I just want to make that clear so that because that's why in some of the books I've read, it said leadership does not exist in any structure. It exists on social networks, but all roles are managerial. But as you go higher, you need to have some leadership attributes to succeed in those roles. If you are like a CEO of a company and you're purely managerial, you will not have results because you'll be neck down, head down, looking at process and looking at everything. But in certain roles, you have to look at people and look at how the system affects them and how the system will treat them differently in order for them to perform better. So all roles, as far as the role and the title, usually it's a managerial responsibility. But there are some where you really need to be a leader, you need to have those leadership attributes to succeed in those roles. And that becomes a qualification for even appointing you into those roles. So I don't want to quote back of formal leaders, but the informal leadership usually is huge set of people that sometimes we ignore, and they're very important people in the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like that blunt definition or assertion. All roles are managerial. You see, I remember the first time I had the position of general manager in eSuccess. There was nothing leadership about what I was doing. I think I've told that story here before. And a year later, that job was gone completely. And I was working 19 hours, averagely 19 hours a day. Worked my head, burnt, almost killed myself. But it was managerial, not influence, not social networks, not building relationships. So it's good that we know that's the distinction between those two roles. Now, like sometimes, like Dr. Austin said, sometimes some managerial one, as your span of control increases, you know that, oh boy, you have to add some leadership traits. Once your span of control is increasing, if you don't add the leadership traits, then it's almost gone. Different ways to let people shine. As I was thinking of listening to Omojewe talking, I said, I remembered when I was Chief Operating Officer ABB, 2009. I just returned from Indonesia for a factory acceptance test. The next thing, some weeks later, they said I needed to go to China. I've never been to China. It was exciting for me. But I looked at the people under me. These were people giving me results. For everything I was doing, they were the ones giving me results. I wanted to start making them visible. One of them, not up to under 5 years experience, electrical engineer, Obieze. I just called him. I said, do you have international passport? He said, no. You have to go and do one now. He said, what, sir? I said, you are going to China. Look, I know the zeal that trip to China to represent me. When he came back from China, he was a different person. Now, create spaces for people to shine. Look, when you are doing it, you will find out that you don't need it. You will find out it's so exciting when you allow people to shine. Don't be in the place. You are just coming from UK, they say another one, you are going, they say this, then you are not thinking of people under you. There are different ways in that small space. Different distance. Just look at the example Xander gave. Xander is still alive. I think he's about 84 years now. He was teaching leadership, and somebody who came from the orchestra line that are very commanding, dominating. Yeah, I said, if you watch even Benjamin Xander's performance on YouTube in his 60s, 70s, you will see the command. But later on, he started saying that, look, this is not how this thing should be done. I remember just being a choir member, a chorister, I don't know what other word to use, University of Benin Christian Union. Dr. Ebele, oh God, well, she wasn't a doctor, she was in dentistry, 600 level. Look, just being late for choir practice in Unibe, we'll be running like children because she had such a command. Look, from where she's overseeing the choir, look, her word was law. But you begin to find out that is not all the method to lead people. Like Xander said in that article, he said, not in today's, that kind of conductors, they can't exist in today's this thing. You have to learn how to give people space. I mean, People who do the real singing, they were shocked that, what is his name? Xander was giving them space. So now air their views. They said they have never seen it in the practice of orchestra or this, I don't know, I'm not a musician, that this kind of thing will happen. But as a leader, look for spaces. If you have been leading a departmental meeting all the time, see why, tell somebody else to lead. If you look at this being class, one person has never missed it, and that is me. What is it? Why? Because of the responsibility. Give them responsibility. They will come better prepared for the departmental meeting. So, Ojo, you are the one. You are leading the departmental meeting next week. So you are doing the presentation, facilitation. I'm just sitting there. By the time you are rotating it, giving them the space to lead from wherever they are, you will see that their involvement, their stake in the game will increase. And you too, you will be happier. Dr. Austin, the floor is yours. Oh, okay. I thought I saw.
Oh, okay, so I hold hand, but I can just make one
Okay, so hold hand.
contribution. But I can just contribute. So let me put it down so that it doesn't confuse us again.
Okay.
Generally, when it comes to managing and leading, you manage. When you're a manager, you are responsible to manage a process, assets, all those things that make people perform better in the course of their work. But you can manage relationship between one team member and another team member to ensure that they have a kind of work climate to produce, to be productive. But individuals, one-on-one individuals, you have to lead. You have to lead. You have to avoid managing people, but you lead people. You lead individuals. But the relationships you manage, assets you manage. So as a manager, you're a manager of assets, and the asset of the company is beyond fixed assets. The SOP, policy, these are conventional assets. So that's your role as a manager to manage. That's what you manage. But as you go up the hierarchy, the span of people you need to look after becomes more. So you actually need to have more leadership skills because you're looking less at assets, you're looking less at fixed assets and other assets, you're looking more at the people themselves as assets and look one-on-one. So I'm saying that most leadership impacts are paid on a one-on-one basis. If you talk in the class, for example, I lecture in the classroom, discover that not more than 30% will retain what you have said. But if you do it on a one-on-one basis, you get a higher retention, and people are able to give you more feedback. In the class, people may not speak. But on a one-on-one conversation, people want to speak more. So difference, change and driving results happens more on one-on-one basis where you can pedal leadership. But on a broader, environment where you manage a department or something, you're actually looking at the working tools, how people policies and SOPs and so are being used to get the results you want to get. But one-on-one, you want to lead people. So like I said before, it's a mix of management and leadership as we go. Lower down, more of management, less of leadership. Up there, more of leadership, less of management. And that's what people talk about micromanagement. When you start trying to manage people, then you become a micromanager. You are going down to the unit level management. You can manage a team, you can also lead a team, but what you have to know the difference when you're managing a team, where you're looking at interpersonal relationships and the kind of climate you're creating for people to excel, but typically you want to do that when you start taking that a one-on-one thing and trying to say each person has to do what he's doing and start manipulating your own way without that freedom for them to exhibit their own personal skills and other attributes to excel at work when it comes to micromanagement. So I'm not trying to give, because for me, definition is very important. That will leave you today with some kind of clarity around difference between management and leadership and also entrepreneurship. Most entrepreneurs are risk takers. Managers never really take risk because they just like structured systems. Leaders also take a bit of more risk because they are dealing with people. But most entrepreneurs are risk takers. Some are not good managers, that are good leaders. But the smart ones employ great leaders and great managers to run their business. But they take all these risk decisions and all that. Kind of see that some people, like Dangote, for example, may not typically be a good leader, but it's an entrepreneur. The kind of money he borrows and the kind of thing he does and the kind of dreams he carries and drives is something that you wonder. But on a one-on-one, he may not be a great leader. He may not be a great manager, but he has done very well in knowing where to employ people, to manage his business, bring great guys who know how to manage, who know how to lead to get the result that he wants. Why he's very good. at engaging politicians and raising money from banks and taking those risks and having some kind of crazy idea that nobody will think about, and that's like, oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So with that comment, we come to the end of today's class. I'm saying, Harold, what does it mean being the board? Harold, you read a lot of chapters of that, The Art of Possibility. So your question will not may not be understood by the rest of the class. Now, but let me just say something on being the board, as Benjamin Zander puts it. Being the board is you are the context in which every problem in your life happens. You are the context in which all activities in the department take place. So it gives you a lot of responsibility. Now, unless we are dealing with that chapter, the others have to read it to understand what that question means. So, but in the Art of Possibility, being the board, somebody who is sick, you are responsible. You see it as you see it as your failure. Somebody who is depressed, it's your failure. So, but it's an enormous place you want to take yourself to in the art of responsibility, where you say you are not laying blame on anything. I am the board. I am the board on which they play table tennis. So if the ball is not bouncing well, there is something wrong with me. That's that chapter in the Art of Possibility. It's a very high level of responsibility and context that you are creating. Now you can, some of this we have learned on being, you can choose anyone. You can, if you are the one that you avoid responsibility, if you want to increase your distance, that your responsibility where you are, reading that chapter on being the board can be very helpful. And you want to see that you don't just see people and you want to assign blame, but if you want to assign blame, rather it's reversed. It's yourself. What have I not done that Tunde is sad? Rather than what is it again that Tunde is sad? So that's just the brief response. But unless I give out the chapter in that book, the others will know what we're talking about. Thank you so much, and thank you very, very much. Today's session, I tell you, it's something that you need to listen to and listen to again to improve on your leadership and managerial skills. A lot of experience was poured in, especially from the context shared by Dr. Austin, and I believe that we'll really benefit from it. Thank you so much, and see you same time next Saturday.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Coach. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much.